Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 61 of the Yellow Card Podcast. To you, as always, your host, Diego Galvez, joined by Chris Jones, or should I say Mr. Vegas Hockey. I thought we were talking about soccer, but I know the boy went out, so he might have gotten the drinks a little bit mixed. However, with that said, welcome to episode 61, everybody. Yellow Card Podcast hereby presented by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by your friends over at Shocked Energy. If you ever feel tired, out of focus, or just need a little boost of energy, try Shocked Energy and use the code CGSN for 10% off your order today. Doesn't matter where you live because they ship worldwide. Try out their green apple flavors and the watermelon flavored box. It is fantastic. I personally have both of them, and I'd be lying if I told you otherwise. This podcast is also presented to you by our friends over at Exogun. If you ever feel absolutely tired, just laying low on the couch, watching football, just want to give yourself a little bit of a massage because you're feeling tense or whatever, Exogun is your product to go to. With technology advanced enough to do pulsating strokes and get deep into the tissue for your massages, Exogun is the perfect product. Try the code CGS10 for 10% off your order today and get yourself taken care of. Ladies, if you're looking for something to find your man for Christmas, Exogun is your product. CGS10 for 10% off of your order today. So episode 61, we got with a little bit of break in between. We have a lot to be talking about because world soccer is buzzing. First and foremost, Manchester United finally have seemed to find their interim manager to appoint, and it is no other than the professor himself, the philosopher himself of the modern day style of soccer being played around the world, the fast-paced, attacking kind of style, Mr. Ralf Rangnick. He has accepted the job as of, I think, the past 24 hours or so. United is soon to be doing an announcement, of course, so the announcement should be coming within 24 to 48 hours of this recording. However, Ralf Rangnick has accepted the appointment, also with a consulting job after this interim, and very well could become the permanent manager for Manchester United. I see, Chris, you wearing your Liverpool Football Club jersey, and as we all know,
yes, sir,
Jurgen Klopp is deeply inspired by Ralf Rangnick and his style of coaching. Just your thoughts on the appointment.
United is definitely a step in the right direction moving forward. I think with this guy at the realm for them, I think their ceiling, not only in the Premier League, but the Champions League as well, is through the roof now. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely loved, without a doubt, United to win the Champions League before the season started. But now with a guy like him, who is very much a tactician, and I think he's going to create a lot more freedom for guys like Jadon Sancho and Bruno Fernandes, and we're going to see them performing at the top of their game, which will be beneficial. But I think the only issue moving forward is, where's Paul Pogba going to be in this lineup? Thinking about where he would fit in, because Ragnick's going to start Van de Beek for sure, Fernandes, Sancho, Scotty McTominay. Like, where is Paul Pogba going to fit in this lineup? I think is going to be the big question heading into the January transfer window, because if they don't see him in the plans moving forward, they could potentially move him and then potentially get some more pieces to help out. And I think that with the style that Ragnick has his teams playing, they're very much of a press that they run all game long. We started Lokomotiv Moscow. I just think for United, this is a good stepping stone to what could be a bright future for them. So what I think will happen with them this year now is, I think even more so, they're going to win the Champions League. And once the Champions League, once they win the Champions League this year, I think they're going to be poised next year, because if they get the Ajax coach,
Ten Hag.
If they get him, they're winning the Premier League next year, without a doubt.
Absolutely. I love the appointment as well. In fact, you know what? We did tease earlier last week that this episode was going to be very focused on New England Revolution. Before we get into all of this, I think the teasing has been good enough. I think we're going to allow our guest into our episode immediately. So without further ado, if you're watching on YouTube, you might have seen that I just clicked prove the guest in. So while we connect, oh baby, here we go. Yes, sir.
Hey guys.
If you guys
What's
recognize
going
that
on?
face, that is the man, the myth, and legend behind the socials of New England Revolution himself, Mr. William. Man, how you doing? Oh, look at that throwback jersey. Look at that.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah. No, you call me Willy. Just do Willy. Willy's good. Williams for when I'm in trouble with the parents, you know?
I love it.
Absolutely love it.
Love it. So, Willy, welcome to the Yellow Card Podcast, episode 61. Right now, we were just talking about the appointment of Ralf Rangnick to United. Who do you, first question right off the go. Who do you, if you watch the Premier League, who do you support in the Premier League?
Yeah, I'm actually a decently big Spurs fan. I know it's a lot of pain, not a lot of winning. So that if I had to go with one, that would be the one that's my team.
Nice. So you also got a new coach as well in Antonio Conte. So from a Tottenham perspective, what do you see as the appointment of Ralf Rangnick doing for Manchester United, especially after the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Premier League's not truly my expertise, but obviously Ralf Rangnick used to be pretty big in the Red Bull global perspective of things. I did used to work for Red Bull previously in my career. So yeah, he's obviously an innovator, someone who can really obviously calm down a tense situation, put some life back into the club and whatnot. So yeah, I think from that perspective, it'd be pretty good for Man U, just to get them back on the right path. Obviously, on the Spurs side, Antonio Conte is what he is. He's a winner, serial winner. But I think he's coming to realize, obviously, our roster's in a pretty bad shape. So he's going to take some work. We'll see what kind of transfers he can get in the January window. But I have zero expectations in the immediate future for Tottenham Hotspur.
I think that's probably the best way to go about it, honestly. For me, as a Manchester United fan, I've always admired Rangnick's style of coaching. Very communicative, but very deep into developing relationships with his players, as well as developing the game in itself. I think, previously, Chris, you had mentioned concerns about Pogba's usage in this team. I don't have any concerns actually at all, considering his aggressive style, especially when it comes to the offensive aspect of United. More than anything, my concern is going to become what to do with McTominay and Fred, considering that their usage is more than likely to drop, especially with Rangnick's style. I think Van de Beek has shown that he is the guy that they signed and that he's ready to show everybody and prove everybody wrong. I think with Pogba being a creative piece in the midfield, along with Bruno Fernandes, I think we're going to see the best of those two to come. I was watching an interview just not too long ago where Rangnick, basically said these back passes are no longer acceptable, and involving the keeper in developing plays is something that just makes no sense to me. There's a reason why the keeper is the keeper. He's probably your worst ball control person in the whole entire field when it comes to you starting 11. That's the last person that you should be utilizing in these circumstances. So I think more than anything, we're going to see a different rhythm and a different style in Manchester United that we haven't seen since probably Louis van Gaal, which is somewhat of a similar coach to Rangnick, not nowhere near the innovator that Rangnick is, but somewhat similar to the style of play. I think more than anything, though, I think for United fan base, the concern is what's going to happen come January, because there's a lot of rumors transpiring behind the United locker room that we could see a completely different locker room for all we know, which would be exciting, but at the same time, somewhat concerning. So that's the Rangnick appointment. We also had some I'm gonna say an average week for the Champions League, because there was a lot of storylines that just kind of made no sense whatsoever, and zero expectancy of these storylines that happen in the Champions League. So real quick, Chris, I know you've been keeping tabs on our record. Pretty sure that I had a really rough week when it came to Champions League. But if you don't mind updating us how we looked on that aspect.
Yeah, so real quick, last week I went 10-6 in our Champions League predictions, and you are 6-10. So now I believe I am now up 5 wins on you at the moment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are. So we still have one more match day to go in the Champions League. So we're not gonna get into round of 16 or whatever. At this point, it's kind of, we already know some of the teams that are already advanced to that stage, but there's so many storylines to still keep an eye on that at this point it's just not even worth getting into that whole entire conversation. Now, last but certainly not least, this is the bread and butter of this episode, the New England Revolution. There's a lot of excitement happening. There's a lot of storylines already developed through the playoffs as it is. Hercules, if you're out there listening, I am so sorry, man. We didn't expect a knockout punch to happen that soon to you, but I guess that's what happens when you finally meet a bull that's ready to take you on. Let's start with you. I know that you saw some serious some serious like drama happening with this playoffs, because nobody expected some of these teams to get knocked out in the first round. So let's get your thoughts on the Western Conference before we transition over to the Eastern Conference and who we're gonna face.
Yeah, big time. I mean, obviously the playoffs are always a bit of a crapshoot. You never know what's gonna happen. At least in MLS, definitely for sure. Obviously, pretty good villain in RSL and Ochoa. He's obviously box office theater. And like I said, look, Seattle didn't truly threaten RSL that bad. Yes, it wasn't the most attractive game of soccer. But look, the job is what it is. Penalties is penalties. Everybody goes back to an even playing surface, and that's exciting. And then you move on. I guess you even have some of the earlier games, but obviously just in the immediacy, Colorado, Portland. You just see the West is a tough conference, but I guess in reality with the Portland game is you really can't knock experience. Gio Savarese there, he's been to quite a bit of things. Even if you go to his other managerial career as a player, he's been in a lot of big game situations, and he knows how to get there. He knows how to get his team motivated. I know I was actually at the 2018 MLS Cup that they lost to Atlanta, but like I said, they're coming from a position that they're not the 1 or 2 seed, but they're making things happen, which is the coolest part of most things. And I do have some buddies and some friends that play there and that work on the team there. So for all that they've been through this year, I think most of us in the industry, it's cool to see your friends really succeed and have a good time. But yeah, like I said, I think it's wide open at Western Conference. SKC's quality, and like I said, I think Portland's a bit of a dark horse. Just the way they play. I don't know that like Espria getting injured recently. A red card, and Blanco pulling his hamstring. I don't know if that's something that's really going to show itself in the next game. But all in all, this is what we want. We want storylines. We want big games, and just unpredictability. At least on the Western Conference side, right? That's what I would like.
I love the fact that you used that word unpredictable, because earlier before the playoffs started, we all went above like doing our brackets and whatever. And in my bracket, I had Seattle basically going all the way to the final. to be one of the teams in the final for the MLS Cup this year. I was not expecting Portland to come in how they came in. Like that really just shocked me, beyond shocked me. I like the fact that the Portland's going all the way to the conference final. That's excellent for them. They're running a really great storyline in this playoffs. Moving over to the Eastern Conference, though, we also have a little bit of drama kind of unfolding, because we just heard over the past 24 hours that Nani is not coming back to Orlando City. They decided not to extend his contract. He's done after 3 seasons with Orlando City. Who knows if this might just be it for his career, or if he decides to sign with another team. I don't think he's called it a retirement just yet over the past 24 hours. So if I missed anything, if you guys want to throw it out there, that's fine. But I'm quite intrigued in the battle between the Philadelphia Union and the Nashville football team, because that is an incredible semifinal, basically. That these are 2 teams completely different in their style of attack and their style of playing. I think we're in for a treat in that semifinal. But then moving over to New England, my prediction was that we would see Atlanta, and then after seeing Atlanta, it would give us a good expectation of what to see out of this Rams team, and being able to take on whoever comes out of the Western Conference final, because Atlanta plays a very deep attack when it comes to their offense, very creative in the middle, and their defense is somewhat, I would say, probably one of the solid defenses in the MLS. But overall, that midfield and that attacking for Atlanta, it's deep enough where if the Revolution were to challenge them and go through, they can take on anybody in the Western Conference and feel confident about their abilities to do so. But we're meeting against New York City, so let's talk about what we could expect for Tuesday. Obviously, New England is coming off of a bye week, so obviously their legs are a little bit more rested and whatnot. We've seen a phenomenal season thus far. I think this is by far the most magical season I've ever witnessed in the Revolution fan base overall. I think the atmosphere is there. I think the support is there. The team is definitely, the energy is in another level. So from Chris, let's start with Chris. What are some expectations that you have, some ups and downs that you could see in this game coming Tuesday, which, by the way, the Yellow Card podcast will be in full presence there on Tuesday. So can't wait to be in Gillette. Can't wait to interact with all of you there. Can't wait to freeze our butts off too, because we're in New England. So why not, right? So Chris, let's get started with you, man.
I just think for New York City FC, what they do best is they get their big guys up front involved. So guys like Castellanos and Medina are going to need to be involved in this matchup for New York City FC to obviously contribute at a high level. But the Revs have kind of had their number as of late. I mean, if you go back to October 11th, 2020, they're 3-1 against them. They've beaten them twice at New York City FC, and then they beat them at home on September 11th. So I think they have a realistic chance of moving forward here. I mean, the Revs are very much so a better team at home, and New York City FC is just not the same team on the road that they are when they play at home. So I think that has a little bit to do. It puts a little bit of perspective there. I think for me, the big thing is we see how good this team is scoring in the second half, meaning New York City FC. They're I think ranked first when it comes to goals scored in the second half this year. So I think if we get out early enough to a lead in the first half, I think we coast through, but we can't keep it close because we know how good that the New York City FC offense is in the second half, as they scored both their goals against Atlanta in the second half in their first round matchup.
Absolutely. Willy, what about you? What are some ups and downs that we could see in this game?
Yeah, I mean, look, we all relish these types of opportunities and moments. Obviously, it's been a great regular season. But, there's true pressure here to win, which is good. I think everybody in the building embraces that. The fans, everybody alike. You guys have been through a lot. So, yeah, when you're looking at Tuesday, it's obviously, I'm going to keep harping on a little bit of unpredictability, from the rested legs to, New York City not seeing our full DP trio for very long, in many moments this year. Tejan being suspended for the New York City game when we were at Yankee Stadium with a multiple of changes. So, look, I think when you have the A squad, when you have everybody starting, you have everybody playing, obviously we have some advantages, right, in the attacking end. And I think it's just the same talking points about, how are they going to come out after 3 weeks, 23 days, right? I know they've had some scrimmages, which are now public, just in general, these guys have played against each other a couple times, 90-minute games, gotten the minutes under their belt, but not too many minutes, right, is what some of these guys have said, which is good, because it's been a long, long, grueling season for these guys. So I think everybody's locked in, everybody's focused. You obviously have the attacking talent that NYC FC spends a lot of money on, Andrade, Castellanos, Rodriguez, Medina. They have weapons, you know what I mean? And, throughout the year, we've not been the tightest defense in the world, because we've, scored a ton of goals. So I think, if it's going to turn into a real dogfight, it's going to be, chances after chances that we're going to give up and counter them with, obviously I think we'll have a good crowd. I think, it'll be a good environment. It'll be, like I said, the first playoff game with fans back since 2014, I think, is what I'm reading there. So I think that, like I said, all in all, it's going to be a good time. And like I said, the true battles is going to be the center backs of ours versus the attacking talent. I know, the game could be played in the midfield and whatnot. But that's what I foresee, because it's two strengths against strength on strength,
Yep. I really like the matchup that we have between Andy Farrell and Valentin Castellanos. Castellanos is not somebody who's very well at taking on a physical battle, and Andrew, what he brings in that center back is that physicality, but also his quick pace. So I think there is a really great matchup to see there when it comes to the playoff. However, as Willie mentioned it, our defense hasn't been the tightest overall. It's a solid defense. It's a creative defense. They get the job done. But when you have a threat like Medina and Rodriguez on the sidelines, that could potentially become more of an aerial battle than anything else. And this is where I see Alexander Callens being an issue, Morales being an issue for New England, maybe even Gray being an issue as well, because he's tall enough to be an aerial threat there. However, can't forget the MLS Keeper of the Year award, recently rewarded to our really good friend. Good God, I'm losing my words today. Our keeper has really has kept us in so many good situations. Matt Turner has been able to really be the guy that if there's something missing within our defense, he complements that. So there's a good essence there. I think from the Revolution perspective, though, I think there is a lot more to lose when it comes to New York City than anything else that New England would have to lose here. I look at the threat of somebody like Carlos Gil being so creative in the midfield, where where he's starting, you just don't know where he's finishing. He could be starting right down the middle and he's on the sidelines working. He's starting on one side, he's in the middle working. There's so many unpredictabilities when it comes to Carlos Gil and being able to guard his game. I like his connectivities as of late as well. I was there at the game when they played Chicago at the 2-2 game. That was a phenomenal game. Seeing Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bou work at it from a midfield perspective, that was just insane to watch. Really, really good match. I think New England has a lot of opportunities here to offer when it comes to New York City. Listen, there's a reason New England is the number one seed in the Eastern Conference with a record of 22-7-5, 73 points, the most points overall in the MLS. If anything, I think the pressure is there enough for the New England Revolution to really go all the way to the cup, that it's motivating enough to all these players. If you look up and down the roster, you're looking at players like I said, Andy Farrell, Tommy McNamara, Brendan Bye, Matt Polster, Dejuan Jones. You're looking at maybe even some veterans in there to get into the action. I'm currently wearing AJ De La Garza's jersey. Phenomenal veteran that has really been inspiring in the locker room for all of these youngsters. Has if Bruce needs him as a center back, he's there to be a center back. If he needs him as a wing back, he's there as a wing back. He's just so versatile that it's great to have a Swiss Army knife like AJ De La Garza, somebody who's been an expert in having been in those situations of MLS Cup playoffs, even in the finals as well. You gotta be looking for players like Wilfred Captain, maybe even Christian Mafla. We could see him get involved in the game. There's just a lot of components that this team really has that can bring that edge over New York City. I think it's going to be a very close game, to say the least. But more than anything, I think there's a lot of this is a great matchup. Not the matchup that I personally wanted against Atlanta, because I wanted to see the Revolution be challenged in the midfield because their creativity is so high that I wanted to see them take it to a new level. However, this is a game where even strength is going to be the to-go-to formula here. Think, if anything, having those rested legs for that extra week really favors the New England Revolution even more in this matchup. What are some takes that we have on this game? Whether it's a 1v1 situation, whether it's a score matchup prediction, what are some takes that we have in this game? I'll start off with you, Willy.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of the takes I don't have anything too hot, right? But I actually was just thinking about this, right? Obviously, how tightly contested some of these playoff games have been. NYCFC had a lot of red cards, man. NYC had a lot of people sent off during the year, so I wouldn't think of that crazy, right? That somehow maybe some hard tackles, something gets in the mix, right? You have to be aware of that in a real way with our team. I think if we have our best players on the field, the kind of take that we have is that we're going to create chances. There's never been this is not last year against Columbus or anybody else, but we weren't creating chances. This team creates chances. It's just about finishing them, right? So that type of take is, we know the individual battles, and one other one that I have is probably Dewan. Dewan is, like I said, there's no Tinnerholm. So you have Gray or the replacement on the right over there. I don't think the Icelandic guy has been getting the minutes down the stretch. So I think, look, our fullbacks get in the attack very, very well. We've seen that all year. But Dewan going up against the second stringer or third stringer right back, I think, that man can eat all day. And I think he's a key component to our attack. You saw 7 assists. The kid is a natural right footer, but his left foot is beautiful now. And I think that's, some of the key little things that, chances will be there. Maybe the chippiness in the game, the referee maybe has something to say about it. And then Dewan against someone who's not a starter, it's going to be a big challenge for that NYCFC kid. And I think Dewan is hungry as ever to prove himself further and further as one of the top left backs in the league.
Absolutely. What about you, Chris? What are some takes you may have? I love the fact that you mentioned Dewan. I think he's such a class act of a player. He really is.
For sure. I think the Revs are going to jump out in front early. I think within the first 25 minutes, they put one in. I'll say I'll give credit to my guy Gustavo Bo in that one. And then they'll be up 1-0 in the half. They'll score early enough in the second half, and then NYCFC will get one later in the half and make it sweat a little bit. But I think the Revs end up winning this game 2-1.
I like it. I think first and foremost, one of my takes is I think we'll definitely see Adam Buxa be part of the team, be part of the starting 11. He'll actually be one of the scoring factors of the matchup. But the second one is that we will see a beauty of a goal, maybe a free kick opportunity come from Carlos Gil, showing us that magician type of stuff that he's known for, and that he rightfully deserves that nickname that he's gotten, because the guy is truly that in the midfield. He creates chances where you least suspect it to be created. I think the guy's phenomenal at that. Could potentially even see a goal from a defender as well. Wouldn't mind a goal from the one. I think the one definitely deserves a goal. In fact, I think it would be even more motivating towards the guy. He's performed really, really sharply wherever needed by Bruce. And he's a great to go to asset for this team. So that's my take. I think I agree much with what Chris said. I think if we get started red hot off of the first 25 to 30 minutes, the Revolution have an opportunity to cruise through the second half and be able to frustrate New York City enough to where they make mistakes and could potentially see a red card happening to New York City. But if even if we don't, I think we could see a very, very, very entertaining second half where New England just dominates the pace. I think another aspect of this game that will be very, very important is how loud the boys over at the Rebellion and the Midnight Raiders will be over at the Fort. I think if these guys are loud enough and we make our presence be felt, I think for New York City, that's going to be overwhelming enough to create a lot of pressure where chances and mistakes will happen, and New England can capitalize off of that. Willy, I know you're busy, man. I know you're going to end up having to jump off very soon. However, any last minute thoughts, any last minute things that you may want to say for this New England Revolution game coming up?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, thank you for having me on. Obviously, busy weekend, preparing for this game, content, everything, all the good stuff that we're trying to do. But, just something to keep in mind, right, is look, it's not years of past. I know a lot of people have some PTSD of some results in the past, but I think you can go clear forward ahead that the mixture of players from the past, future, and present now that are a part of this team, have the mentality that they want to go out and do it, right? So, like I said, full steam ahead. These guys are excited about it. I think it's going to be a good game. It's definitely going to be a tough game, man, like I said, but we didn't want it easy. You never want it easy, So if we get there, we're going to do it. But it's one game at a time. That's the main focus. And look, like I said, we have a lot of difference makers in the team. So I think, there's pressure, but it's good pressure. So I'm just as excited as you guys are. Obviously, a couple more days away. Like I said, thank you guys for having me on. It's a great time. And like I said, hopefully to see you there. Come say hi. Let me know where you're at. I'll definitely be around to shake your hand and say hi and say what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to make plans to meet either before the game or during the game. Absolutely. We'll definitely be nearby to where we can make that happen. But Willy, thank you so much for hopping on. It's a pleasure meeting you virtually. Can't wait to meet you personally. Thank you so much for hopping on with us and taking time off of your busy schedule. We absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah, Diego, Chris, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
There you go.
See you soon, Willy.
See you.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as you may have seen, the man, the myth, and legend behind the socials of the New England Revolution. Very, very, very excited about this game coming up against New York City. Chris and I are beyond stoic about that game. I mean, heck, we've been planning to attend for how long? For about like 4 weeks, maybe even before we knew that. Maybe even before we knew we were facing New York City.
We've been planning to go to a game in general since we started the podcast together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
So
I mean, I've gone to some myself, and unfortunately, you just haven't been able to because of work duties. But
this year, yeah, but been in years past. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Yes, sir.
This coming Tuesday.
Yep, we're very excited here. Chris, any last minute takes on anything? Champions League, Premier League, anything?
Real quick, just to look at, the teams that have moved on in the Champions League so far. Before we sign off. So obviously,
Sure.
City and PSG are already moving on. Liverpool's already in. Ajax is already in. Real Madrid and Inter Milan are already in. Bayern Munich's already in. Manchester United's already in. And then Chelsea and Juventus are already in. So Group G, each team still has a chance to move on between Lille, Salzburg, Sevilla, and Wolfsburg. So those matchups you're definitely going to watch out for on December 7th, which is in that group. It is Lille and Wolfsburg and Sevilla and Salzburg. In Group F, Villarreal and Atalanta still have a chance to move on as the number 2 in that group. Atalanta is playing Villarreal, so that game is a must-watch in that one. In Group E, you got Barcelona and Benfica. Barcelona has to play Bayern Munich, and we know how well Bayern Munich has played throughout the year. Benfica gets Dynamo Kiev, so that's another one you're going to have to watch out for. Sporting in Dortmund still have a chance. Sporting's playing Ajax. Dortmund is playing Besiktas. So there's some potential for Dortmund to potentially still move on. I don't think it's highly as probable, but there's still potential for them there. And then we have Porto, Milan, and Atletico Madrid all with a chance to move on. Porto and Atletico Madrid play each other, and then AC Milan plays Liverpool in Group B. And that's the big matchups that you have to watch out for, because everything else is already set in stone. And we'll dive into more on predictions on who we think plays each other in the round of 16. That draw is, I believe, it's in December at some point.
I believe
right?
it's the Tuesday after the match.
No, it's the Monday. It's the Monday, so it's the 13th. December 13th will be the round of it'll be 6 a.m. Eastern time. Be what we find out. So still waiting to see what happens.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up, because if you look at teams like, teams that should have already booked their ticket to the next round, teams like Barcelona, anybody in Group G, so Lille, Salzburg, even Sevilla themselves. If you look at somebody like Porto or AC Milan, they should have already known what their future would be within this tournament. It's just insane to see how the Champions League year after year after year never fails to deliver some drama in between, especially when it comes to the group stages. Interesting, very interesting tournament this year. I'm deeply excited about Sporting. It's been some years since we haven't seen them go this far. Sporting being one of the teams, actually, people forget one of the best players in the world came out of that team, Cristiano Ronaldo. That was back in the day when Sporting handled Manchester United under the best manager of their existence, in Sir Alex Ferguson. And that's what attracted Sir Alex Ferguson to Cristiano Ronaldo, to make him the player that he is nowadays. So I'm excited for Sporting. I still think, the one real attractive part of this whole entire Champions League tournament is the story that Sheriff Tiraspol of Moldova has really created here. Even going into the Europa League, that's really, really good for a team that never had this level of exposure. It's a team that it's created under, some of the lowest caps of all time. And they've done it with players that nobody knows of. and have managed to continue to just captivate the attention of people across the world. So I'm really excited about Sheriff, but other than that, a lot can happen in this last match day of the Champions League. So I'm excited for that.
So the last time that Sporting made it to the round of 16 was the 2008-2009 Champions League, and they played Bayern Munich. They got beat 5-0 in the first game, and then 7-1 in the second one. 12-1, probably one of the worst aggregates of all time.
Well, I mean, worst aggregate of all time. I think it's actually Bayern and Barcelona.
No, 12-1. I think is a lot worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm trying to look to see who was on that team that year. 08-09. Sorry if you hear me typing. So that year they had Yalmatinho, Roy Patricio.
Yeah, they had some really good players.
They had Adrian Silva, Leandro Romagnoli. They were a solid little squad, and they got blown, like they got the doors blown off of them by Bayern in the round of 16.
Yep. No, I mean, just looking overall at that Portuguese league, you're looking at Benfica, Porto, and Sporting, just once again representing really well what they're able to offer to the world. So I think I'm actually even more interested in Porto again this year. Porto was heavily disregarded last year. Everyone thought they were just a sleeper team and they wouldn't go anywhere. And boy, did they prove to be something more than just what people thought. So I'm really excited for all three Portuguese teams this year, and all three of them are pretty much still alive if you think of it. Benfica could beat Benfica could very well.
I don't care.
They can go ahead and beat Dynamo Kiev. Porto can go ahead and beat. I think they're playing Atletico, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. So Benfica, Porto can very well beat Atletico. I think they did it already once, so doing it twice is not something new. And Sporting can very well just tie up against Ajax. So it's Ajax has nothing to lose. They already moved forward. So if anything, I see Ajax just coming down with a kind of a lazy lineup more than anything, just to give themselves a break. This is where Sporting can create an opportunity and book their ticket to the next round. So I'm really excited. This whole entire Champions League every year never ceases to amaze. So for any idiot out there that thinks that the Europa Super League should be a thing, consider the amount of drama that every single year the Champions League brings, and think of real football for once. Okay. But with that said, signing off of episode 61, Diego Galvez, Chris Jones, Yellow Card Podcast. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube, whatever means you use for podcasting, we will be there. Thank you all for your support. Until next week, see you guys very soon.